Welcome in, everybody, to Fantasy Pros. This is the Fantasy Baseball Podcast. It is me, Joey P, Joe Pisapia, and we are live right here on our YouTube channel, Fantasy Pros MLB. Yeah, subscribe today. We just crossed 17,000 subscribers. We love all of you, and that means we're going to wig out on opening day, the 28th, Thursday. Welsh and I will be wearing wigs on the show. I already picked mine out. I'm not going to tell you what it is. We're still working on Welsh's, but I am here. The Welsh is here. Our Discord listeners are here too. If you want to join the chat, join it for free at fantasypros.com/chat on Discord so you can be involved in fun things like this. And speaking of fun, just when you're starting to hit the wall with draft coverage, well, you might be dragging a little bit. It's a Monday. We bring in an amazing guest who has the energy level of, I don't know, like I would say a toddler birthday party. That's the level of energy that Michael Govier always brings. He's one of my favorite people. He's the host of the Palazzo podcast. You can follow him on X at MJ Govier. Govier, it's so great to see you, buddy. I missed you. I love the energy. I love your excitement. Baseball's almost here, buddy. Are you ready for it? Because it's like 10 days away now.
I'm feeling it. It's great to be here, Joe. It's been too long. I'm so glad to speak baseball with you again. In fact, I think the last time we did it, we were doing an outfielder preview in 2022, and you may or may not have said Eloy Jimenez would be good. Did that ever happen? Did that ever happen?
I'm sure I'm not the only person that thought that in 2022. I can tell you things were going in the right direction there. Unfortunately, not so much.
2024. Eloy, we're back.
There's still time.
Finally!
Playing for a contract. Welsh, you're not playing for a contract, but we're coming fresh off of our incredible Fantasy Fest, which if you haven't seen it already, go to the YouTube channel. It's in a playlist right now. All the segments there, half hour each with some of the best minds. Pianowski was on there. Stamfel was on there. We had Chris Towers on there. We had, who else? We had Eno Saris was on there. Steve Gardner. Welsh, I thought that was just 4 incredible hours of talking fantasy baseball, and I think that all of our guests were just unbelievable. I think everybody needs to go run to the YouTube channel to watch all those in smaller forms if they didn't get to watch it live.
Yeah, and we actually have it. It's really great. YouTube.com/FantasyProsMLB. Lots of people are watching us live. There's another cool feature, watching this mock draft live. If you're listening on the podcast or watching later, make sure you subscribe to the channel because you can see them all nice little bits of video that you can check out. And little plug to myself, I edited the best of version. If you want to check it on the podcast version, just under an hour. I even host it and I bring you through some of the best segments of it. So there's lots of ways to consume the Fantasy Fest, unless you're a degenerate and you just want to sit down for 4 hours and watch us. Then, we've got it done easy up for you.
Speaking of us too, Wonky Penguin, Kelly Kirby was on the draft in the last hour. And they're giving you crap about your button shirt today because
God, dude.
She's saying Welsh looks like he's going to a mixer later today. Are you? Do you have a mixer later this afternoon?
No, I will be on CBS Fantasy Baseball today later and doing some more podcasts. No, I can't make anybody happy here. I wear the hats literally during Fantasy Fest. We had someone, Welsh, where's the do? Where's it going back? I'm trying to dress nice, trying to do a little shirt. I think this is a big deal. I put the hair out, and now everybody thinks I'm going out for a date later. I'm not.
I don't know. Maybe you take the wife out somewhere nice. That'd be nice. Govier just dropped his wife off in Canada and then drove home for the draft. True story, folks. True story. He said it as though he was dropping her off at the grocery store, dropping her off.
That's a happy marriage.
At her mother's house or something. He's like, I'll be right there. I just got to drop my wife off in Canada. These are things you say when you're in Michigan. By the way, JD, I see you. That's right. I did say, yeah, like LA Knight. And if you like the wrestling stuff, I got the wrestling show too. But today we've got a draft and it's serious stuff. 12-team, Roto style, 5x5, going old school. We just did the head-to-head last week. So we're going back to old school here. So we're going to kick things off now. Govier, you took the second spot here, which again, the board was open. You could have had anywhere. You said, let somebody else have Acuna. You did that. So you're at 2. Durs is at the 1 spot. Mookie Betts' legacy team is at 3. J.M. Considine is at 4. Portland Pickles at 5. I took the 6th spot. So I went from 1 to 12. Now I'm at 6 today. Delve is at 7. DJ's at 8. Manic is at 9. Mr. Buster, a friend of the show, one of our favorite folks at leading off, is at 10. Nate Miller at 11. And Welsh, you took the 12 spot. So Govier, why did you give up the number 1 spot where you could have had everything? You could have had Acuna. You could have had it all.
I could have had it all. Could have been a contender. Look, I just wanted to have the challenge of deciding on the 2 pick. There's been a lot of debate during the preseason here about who should be number 2 after Acuna. I'm not even going to make some argument about, hey, well, maybe it shouldn't be Acuna. Let's just skip all that and let's figure out, should be Julio Rodriguez? Should it be Bobby Witt? Should it be Mookie Betts, a
up.
shortstop eligible superstar on the greatest team that the Lord himself ever assembled?
Well, you're up. What are you doing? So make your pick. You only got a couple seconds left there. I'm going to pause it because I think you might not have realized that we started there. So I'm going to resume it
I
for
think
you.
I got caught up in the look at
You
what
got
a
caught up. So
amateur
would you have
hour.
taken Bobby Witt Jr.? I guess that's the question because it looks like I couldn't pause it in
That's
enough
fine.
time. That's
I'll
fine.
take it.
Govier is like, I don't care. I'm going right in.
I wish you would have taken Mookie Betts in front of Mookie Betts' legacy team. That's really the only way to do this draft is take the player that's in someone's name, but that's okay. Bobby Witt is the correct number 2 pick.
I don't have a problem with the Bobby Witt selection either. Lots of stolen bases, lots of everything there. By the way, this is why I love doing the live shows here with you guys because RJ in the chat says Welsh looks like he's going door to door asking if you've heard the good word.
Have you? I'm here spreading the good word of O'Neal Cruz. Have you heard of O'Neal Cruz and his
It's like
pamphlets?
It's like that in the league where the Ruxin joins that cult for a while to get fantasy eternal
We've got
wonderfulness.
all sorts of pamphlets going on here. All right, so I am up here at 6. Kyle Tucker on the board. Certainly a good place to start. I feel good about that. In terms of the way the rosters are structured today, just to review for everybody. 1 catcher, first, second, third, short. We're doing corner and middle infielders. We're doing 1, 2, 3, 4 active outfielders and a util. So I'm going to go with the outfielder first of Tucker. We have 9 open pitcher spots, and we're only doing 4 bench spots because we're live today with the people hanging out. So just to recap the first round so far, Acuna 1, Bobby Witt Jr., Mookie Betts, Julio Rodriguez, Corbin Carroll, and Kyle Tucker. So I'm taking a page out of Clegg's book from the other day when we had him on last week on Friday with him and Joe Rico. If you missed that draft show, go watch that one. But in that middle at 6, you're guaranteed to get a stud player. Again, Juan Soto just went next here. DJ just took Freddie Freeman. So, Welsh, what's your ideal turn here? And remember, we are live, so people who are drafting with us might be watching and stealing your picks.
Yeah, my ideal turn is not looking at the chat. Everybody is just killing me. Jorge, by the way, said, "Why you dress so fine today, man?" I need to dress up a little bit more, so it's not a big deal. So my ideal, well, can I stall a little bit because Nate Miller's right in front of me? I mean, ideally, we're to get like Ohtani and Judge. That would make me jump, jump, and rip off the shirt like Hulk Hogan. Oh, but I don't think it's going to happen. I love Strider. Even in this spot, as he just went to Mr. Buster. So Ohtani and Judge, they're the top players on the board, though. So I think I'm going to get one of them. And, oh, my God, I'm going to get both of them. Good things are happening today, folks. Trey Turner goes 11th overall. So getting Judge and Ohtani is an ideal situation. I don't care about the DH only. I moved Ohtani up, I think, is my number 8 overall player, 7 overall player. Judge with the big power, even though he did not get into some extra practice today, it's okay. I am going to slap all of that homer and all of that speed potential on Ohtani. So I'm very happy about that.
All right, so Judge and Ohtani there. Govier, what do you think about Welsh's start here?
I don't get the Judge part. I love the Ohtani part. In fact, I'm not kidding. I would have considered taking Ohtani too. I am not kidding. I think he's going to be incredible this year as a hitter. But the Judge, toe, chronic problem, old man time, I'm worried. Big body freaks me out.
I like 45 to 50 homers. I'm pretty good with that. They've already said that he's going to be good for opening day, regardless of how they're babying him in stupid spring here. The toe is something to consider, but here's this cool thing. It's called the DH. And Giancarlo Stanton lost a bunch of weight. Looks like they could throw him back out in the outfield. If they need to baby Judge, they can put him out at the DH. I'm taking some injury risk. I'm taking a little risk with Ohtani, but I don't care. I want elite power. I want it early. I'll find my stolen bases later. I will take the discount on Judge all day, including today.
But why not take Jordan Alvarez instead? Sorry, Jordan is very powerful as well.
Yeah, I mean, I like the 35 homers, but I don't think there's any less injury risk with Jordan Alvarez over Aaron Judge. You're going to tell me that Jordan Alvarez is a better, safer pick than Aaron Judge? I'm going to LOL because they are both injury risk. So if I'm going to take the power, I'm going to take the guy who can hit the most homers in baseball. The argument really would have been Matt Olson, by the way. If you want to make the big argument of power, go to Matt Olson at first base, get the elite stats there. That I actually was kind of considering, but I'm not scared. I'm not going to be scared.
Not scared, huh? All right. I'm going to go ahead and make my pick right now, and then we'll recap the rest of it. Also, it is season-long roto this draft, so I think with Judge, even if he ends up playing 125, 130 games, I think you still take the productivity there, as opposed to the last draft we did, which is head-to-head. And a head-to-head, I'm where Govier is, which is like, if I've got the whole board to myself there pretty much at the turn, Judge is still one of those pieces in the back of my head, still a little scary. I'm with you.
Yeah, you lose him in the
Alvarez.
playoffs. That stinks in head-to-head.
It's
I
horrible
do
if you
agree.
possibly losing there. Harper, Olsen, Ramirez, Alvarez, all those guys. But speaking of those guys, that's how they went there. Nate Miller took Jose Ramirez at the 202, then Matt Olsen at 203, Bryce Harper at 204, Yordan Alvarez at 205, and then 206, Austin Riley. I took Ozzie Albies because everybody knows I love Albies, second baseman. I've got my more stolen bases there too. Second base falls off quite a bit. Plus, we've got the middle infield spots to deal with later. Rafael Devers at 208, Simeon at 209. I kept debating Simeon or Albies. Welsh, where do you have those two in your rankings? Do you have Ozzie Albies over Simeon?
I have that's a good question. I think I've got Albies one spot above. I love Devers, though. The Devers. I love him. I think he's super underrated, even though the guy's 3,500, 100 with a high batting average. But we all knew you were taking Ozzie Albies. That is your guy. Like of this year, Ozzie Albies and Alex Bregman need to be on all of your teams.
Yeah, well, I'm sure Joe Pisapia is going to like my draft more.
But I will say, I think here's my only caveat to Devers, though. I think it is easier to get great second baseman later in like Bryson Stott, Ketel Marte than it is to get great third baseman later. So if you want to think about the like position eligibility, I would be paying attention just a tiny bit more to Devers.
Well, see, I like that depth of third base too when you start to get to the Royce Lewis Bregman grouping. I'm more apt to roll with those guys as well. Now, somebody in the chat I see also, because we've been talking wrestling here, wants me, I think it's John Shimmick, wants me to make a pick in Macho Man voice. So I will make the next one in Macho Man Randy Savage voice. But we have picks to recap here. So let's go through them. After Devers and Simeon, Vlad Guerrero at 210, Ellie De La Cruz, Francisco Lindor goes to Govier. I'm sorry, no, one more spot before Govier. Lindor, Alonso, then back to Govier at 302. So Govier, you selected Ellie De La Cruz and Michael Harris at the end of the second, beginning of the third at 302. You got Harris. How do you feel about Witt, Ellie, Michael Harris in the beginning of that build?
All the stolen bases.
Yeah.
In the world of stolen bases, one man. I had to get Ellie. To me, Ellie De La Cruz, I'm not worried about the K rate. He's going to get better. He's not going to strike out 33% forever, and he's going to steal arguably 100 bases. I'm dead serious about that. And Michael Harris, I'm taking him over Luis Robert because I like the batting average better, and I think there's more power for Michael Harris to come this season. Luis Robert struck out 172 times last year. Michael Harris only struck out about 100. I'm taking Harris over Robert.
All right. Looking at the rest of the board here, I am now up, which means I'm going to go back to the draft wizard. Yeah, we're going to go back. We're going to look at Gunnar Henderson. Yeah, he qualifies at third base and at shortstop, and at draft wizard, the recommendations always rise to the top. That's right. Can you dig it? Let's go. I'm going to snap into Gunnar Henderson right here. Take him right here. So Gunnar Henderson at 306. That's my selection. To recap the picks in betweens, Luis Castillo, Luis Robert, Luis Corbin Burns. Sorry, I just got into a groove there. Just regular Corbin Burns. So the second pitcher off the board. So far, Welsh, just Strider, Corbin Burns, 3.05. So I took Gunnar Henderson. So I've got Albies. I've got Henderson. I've got Tucker. That's the beginning of my build. Delvik selected Zach Wheeler. So four pitchers in 3 rounds. Castillo did go in this round as well. So Welsh, does that feel about right to you in terms of like the amount of pitchers that are now going off the board since the Garrett Cole news?
I'm actually a little surprised because this was like the battle of, all right, are people scared because of the injuries, or now there's one less ace off the board, so we have to make sure we get them. I'm actually a little surprised we didn't have many more pitchers go, and I'm patiently waiting for Nate Miller, who's about to pick, because then I'm up, and oh man, he took one of them. Pablo Lopez was one of those that was sitting out there, but Kevin Gausman, people are still a little bit scared about the Kevin Gausman back injury. Ooh, dig it. I'm going to go and double tap pitching here. I'm not going to be scared. I'm not going to play scared here. I mean, I don't like necessarily taking a lot of these guys right as the
well, we know it's George Kirby. We know
and it is exactly right. It's Kevin Gausman and George Kirby without setting up back-to-back pitchers. These two, I couldn't be more excited. I would have taken Pablo and Kirby. I didn't even realize Gausman was there. So I've got my 2 huge power bats. I've got my 2 huge aces. One is a big strikeout option. One is the whip king, who I think can be a top guy. We're in the cycle of Welsh liking his draft. We're about 3 rounds away from me starting to talk crap and hate it. So
all right. Well, that actually didn't happen last time on Friday.
And I got graded awfully, I think.
And you were 11th out of 10th out of 12,
11 out of
something.
12. Thanks, Joe.
Sorry. Well, it's just
Oh,
all win
sorry.
drafts like I
I'm
win
the
drafts.
winner. Look at me. I'm Joe
So
Pisapia. I win drafts.
any concern about Kevin Gossman right now in terms of injury? I mean, it's hard to pass up I know you're going to take Kirby no matter what, but
Yeah.
Gossman still feels like a little bit of a risk. Is it the right amount of risk here at that moment for you?
If it were, I think it's still the back stuff. If it were Yuri Perez based arm issues, I would be exponentially more worried. But I will say this, let me throw on top with this pitching stuff. We lost Garrett Cole. Yuri Perez looks like he's gone. We still don't know. Blake Snell looks a little worrisome. There's more guys in the top 20 that are coming off of the board that's lessening the group. So I'm prioritizing a little bit. If you're going to give me deals on top end pitchers, I'm going to take them. I'm taking on a little bit of inherent risk, I guess, but the injury with Gossman isn't the type of injury that like terrifies me. So I am going to grab a hold of two aces while we have 12 teams. Not everybody's going to be able to get two top 20 pitchers. I just did.
All right. John, by the way, Shimmick was very happy with my Randy Savage. He said, nailed the Randy Savage mannerisms. Props.
Yeah,
thank you, John. I appreciate
it. You didn't explode, though. You kept it really kind of like,
I didn't want to upset John. I wanted to keep it really low key here when we're doing the draft. It's live. Yeah. You gotta keep it all under wraps. It's about
Macho always had a who is the comedian? I just forgot his name.
Sam Kinison.
Sam Kinison.
I was gonna say the Dan Soder. Is that his name? The comedian who does the most amazing Macho Man.
Randy always had a little Sam Kinison in him, where he'd be like laying it in real quiet, and then like that. That was kind of Randy to me.
All right, let's see. Govier is coming up soon here. So we've got after Kirby, Zach Gallen, Randy Rosarena, Yamamoto, Logan Webb, Adolis Garcia. Then I took Tyler Glasnow. Again, it was the recommendation guy, but it's also the guy that I want to take there. The upside's there, the strikeouts there. He could end up a top 5 pitcher when all said and done. He's just got to somehow, for the love of God, one time cross 160 innings, please. CJ Abrams and Royce Lewis, who I almost took, but I decided to go pitcher. So it was a Considine there, took that pick. Mookie Betts selected Tariq Skubal. Govier, you took a catcher, Adley Rutschman. You're up again. I'll let you make your other pick here while I keep recapping. At the turn, Framber Valdez goes to Durs, and then Aaron Nola. So they doubled up on starters. Govier, what are you going to do with this pick? 27 seconds on the clock.
I got sniped on Tarek Skubal. I was one pick away. It would have been my dream to have him as my number one. I'm not being a homer either. It's not just because I'm the Go Tigers guy. I love him this year with Chris Fedor, the pitching coach. He knows what he's doing. So for me now, I'm looking at pitching and I'm like, oh boy, I'm really put myself in a spot here. So I'm going to take a closer that I can trust, Camilo Duvall.
There you go. Okay, so Camilo Duvall off the board here. Was that the first closer? I believe it was.
It may be.
I'm looking correctly at the board. It was. Welsh, how do you feel about that? Is that the right answer for first closer off the board? Or is it a Hader or a Diaz? It was Camilo Duvall instead of Hader or Diaz or Lasse.
Wow.
Yeah, pretty wild, huh?
I mean, I have said that I think Duvall is in the grouping, like he's the in. See, that's not my pick. Hader is my pick here, or Edwin Diaz. But Duvall is in that tier of like, if I don't get him, then it's like, well, I'm going to wait a little while, because I mean, Duvall was at the tippy top of saves last year. Especially if they do make a Snell signing, you have pitchers that are going to get to that bullpen. The division's a little bit tougher to get save opportunities, but Duvall has no questions whatsoever. But I wouldn't consider Duvall even remotely close before Edwin Diaz or Josh Hader, but I would. I mean, now that we've lost Devin Williams, I could easily see taking him over Clase, and looks like we are going to lose Johan Duran for a little bit.
Yeah.
As he's going to start the season on the IL. So this is another one of those situations. We lost all these starting pitchers. Now the top end closers, people are going to have a little bit of an advantage if you take them early, which isn't really happening. Duvall is the only closer that's gone off the board, which is kind of crazy.
Well, this is obviously our crew, staying very disciplined, hitting early. These are our leading off people. These are our Fantasy Pros MLB people, that's for sure. As we continue on there after Duvall, Alex Bregman, Welsh, Mookie Betts' legacy took him right out from under me. So that's very sad.
That's
Freddie Peralta, one of my other favorites, goes to Considine. Then Portland Pickles took Mike Trout, so I didn't have to make that decision, although I would have had to think long and hard about it in the 5th round. Like, I would have to really look at the board and say, do I want to do this now? I ended up taking Nolan Jones. I almost took Bellinger, kept going back and forth. I decided at the end of the day to take Nolan Jones. Give me Colorado. Give me the younger player. Give me the player that I know we disagree there on Nolan Jones. But what I love here about what I've done with Gunnar Henderson and Nolan Jones is now the draft can come to me. I can slide Gunnar Henderson from 3rd to short. I can slide Nolan Jones from 1st to the outfield. I can let the best player on the board, come to me. And I think that's something that's very underrated when you're drafting. If you're between two players and they're very close, that position flexibility allows you to maneuver the draft towards your favor. So it's something that I always like to do. And there's a few players you can do that with in these middle rounds here and the early going. Max Fried goes next. Then here we go. Closer time. Josh Hader, Edwin Diaz, then Manny Machado, Christian Yelich, the Welsh. You're up for 2 picks with 20 seconds left.
All right. We are going to not be too focused on stolen bases. We are going to take what I think is a great steal here in Paul Goldschmidt. And then I ask you, fine gentlemen, have you heard the word?
Oh, there we go. I was waiting for
O'Neal Cruz. Because we will take O'Neal Cruz to make sure that we have it. It's sloppy writing here, but have you heard the good word? O'Neal Cruz is the other pick. Thank you.
I normally don't take solicitation during a draft, but whatever. I'll allow it this time. Goldschmidt and Cruz, certainly two good spots there. Cruz going to help you with your stolen bases as well. Nate Miller is next on deck. And obviously, as you're watching today, or you're probably listening, you have to remember we're using Draft Wizard to do the draft. And if you want to dominate your fantasy baseball drafts, you have to use Draft Wizard. It's the most comprehensive suite of tools. It's going to change the game for you. You can import rankings. You can use custom cheat sheets. You can use cheat sheets based on our rankings here on Fantasy Pros. Welsh's, mine, a combination, hybrid of yours along with us. It doesn't matter. Anybody's got the ranks up on Pros. You can select them for your cheat sheets. You can perfect your draft strategy too. You can use the draft simulator, run a gazillion mock drafts in just a few minutes. It's amazing how fast you can go through these things. You can back picks out, continue to craft your strategy. It's just incredible. If you haven't tried it, just sync your league, use it, and continue to use a draft analyzer for all of your drafts. You can draft with the sync on as well, which is huge. That is something we love as well. So I have to pause because I'm in the middle of a read here. I hope I didn't get auto-picked. I did, which is sad and frustrating.
Oh, I love that
and
pick.
something I would never do, which is take a closer on top of that. So
Class A as well.
I want to remind people too, something I said in a video and we said in a previous show is if, let's say, we're not going to shame you, but you've done no prep and you maybe only watch a couple videos and your draft is literally about to start, you have an hour in front of you, you could knock out 4 to 5 mock drafts. And it's like us holding your hand during the draft with draft picks. So even without prep, the Draft Wizard is the way to go. So sync
we'll see if Draft Wizard is right at the end of the day. And I understand there's a closer run.
I had him on my queue.
I'm not a closer guy.
All hail Draft Wizard.
Well, fantasypros.com/draft wizard. You can turn your draft day stress into draft day success. And again, just download the app or go to fantasypros.com/draft wizard. I trust Draft Wizard. Draft Wizard knows what's going on. We're going to continue to resume the draft here. I wish I could back out the picks in these drafts, but I can't. I can only do that in the simulations. That would be nice. If I was still picking, if I wasn't trying to be a good host and do reads for the company, I would be looking at Bobby Miller here. That's probably where I would have gone to get my second starting pitcher. So a little frustrated. Everybody knows I'm very high on those guys. Grayson Rodriguez still on the board too. Very frustrated, Welsh. I'm going to try to bury my sorrows. But again, I'm going to need closers. I'm going to need saves to back things up here. Just would have waited a little bit longer. But again, that's on me. I should have made sure that I set it to that setting. But
don't beat yourself up, Joe. It's okay.
I want to beat myself up. Govier, a couple picks looking to you. So far, you've got a catcher, outfield. You've got a shortstop, third baseman, and a closer. Where are you going first? Are you going to try to take your first starting pitcher here?
Well, is it that obvious? Geez, yeah, probably is. I wanted Scooble, so then I complained, and maybe I sabotaged myself by taking Doval. Why? Why did I do that? I'm stupid. But I'm also a guy who's learning to make mistakes and grow from them. So, knowing that, I feel great about Logan Gilbert being on the board. I'm going to take Logan Gilbert over Grayson Rodriguez, over Zach Eflin, without a doubt, over Blake Snell for sure, because Logan Gilbert is about to take it to another level this year. I'm expecting a little bit better ratios to go along with the case, and he could arguably be a number 1 top 12 starting pitcher by the end of the season, no doubt.
All right, Govier, we've heard a lot of noise from Welsh about his dislike of Logan Gilbert.
I just don't like the capital of it. I don't dislike Nolan Jones. I don't
positive news. So give me some positive spin on why It's Logan Gilbert for you as I recap these picks in between. After Class A, Bobby Miller, of course, Pickles knew exactly. Stuck me right with the knife in the back. Brian Reynolds, Jordan Lamont, and you took Gilbert. Cole Reagans goes next to Durs. So, Govier, talk about Gilbert, and then I know this next pick's coming up for you, too, and talk about what you're going to do with this next one.
Yeah, Gilbert's a guy, as I'm on the clock now, I don't have any shares of, and I'd rather have had Scooble all day, but I'm settling for Gilbert in a way. But I don't feel it's a terrible, terrible drop-off. I still like both the parks they pitch in. Advantage to the AL Central for being a worse league, easier for Scooble. AOS a little bit tougher. And then on this pick, I love getting flexibility, but I'm going to go with my second pitcher who I like, and that's Joe Ryan. Yeah, I'm taking Joe Ryan, who I prefer over some of those other dudes.
All right. Joe Ryan, certainly another one of my favorites. So seems like a good pick to me. So Gilbert and Ryan for you. You're building that rotation. I'm up into 3 picks here.
Why do I have to wait so long? I was just sitting here. I'm like, why am I not
turn,
picking?
Welsh.
But it's so long. This is what I don't like about on the wheel. The wheel, it's so great. I get to make my decisions. We got to the end of the round and I was like, ooh, I'm up. No, I'm not. I have to wait an entire another round. I'm so impatient.
Are you new to how drafting works?
Yes, I wanted Cole Reagans and he went, and it's just...
Oh.
Well, but we talked about this last time, Welsh. It's probably a good time to bring it up again, is I mentioned when I was at the wheel last time how the anticipation of what the run is going to be is crucial.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you're not doing a good job of that?
No, I love the picks. I think I'm getting good values. I'm putting together what I want. Goldschmidt was a deal. O'Neal Cruz, I have so much higher than I even took him, but I know his ADP is around 6. I'm good with it. It's just difficult. Like you're saying, the anticipation of watching all you're like, could this work for me? Could this fall to me? No, it doesn't. Cole Reagans goes. Gleyber Torres goes. Of course, you take Justin Steele, never can have Steele. It will be a miracle if is this the last draft? I can't have Justin Steele anywhere. It's really heartbreaking.
Wait, is this the last draft? That can't be true. Is it
March 18th
next week? John?
I don't know. Now that I'm thinking about it, it might be the last one. I might have to look that up there. That's very sad.
It's sad.
I think it is the last one. Govier, look at you. And in honor of you being the closer, you were the first guy to really take a closer. So you see that, Govier? See what you did? So beautiful.
It's all coming together. It's a circle of life.
Delvec, by the way, takes Xander Bogaerts right after me, the guy I was debating back and forth on. So I am getting screwed. I hate drafting in the middle. So I'm happy to be at the turn where Welsh is. Or
you lost your voice there a little bit. You're like, I
hate it so much. I do. I hate it. I hate being in the middle because you are subject to getting burned on the right side, getting burned on the left side. I don't like it at all. And the fact that I made a pick and then Bobby Miller went after, and then I made another pick and Xander Bogaerts went after. I just hate it. So now I've become the Welsh. I hate my draft in the middle. Jesus Luzardo goes, Joe Musgrove goes, Blake Snell goes, so all the other pitchers I was contemplating. Nate Miller takes Real Muto. Welsh, you're up for 2 picks. Finally.
Oh, God.
Finally, the draft has come back to the Welsh.
Well, I don't like any of these players, so that's the unfortunate part of what's happened. So what I'm going to do, because I don't love the third base, I am going to lock up Nolan Arenado. So I've got the Cardinals corner infield, and then someone who should be pushing up a little bit more because I love the trade, and I think this is kind of a deal. I'm going to jump in on the Dylan Cease bandwagon. I love the ballpark factor with San Diego. I like the new offensive support. I'm going to get big strikeouts. We just got to make sure he doesn't absolutely fall apart, and he's not going to be the ace on this team. So Dylan Cease, right around this 80 marker. I moved him up a tiny bit higher in my ranks, which are live over on Fantasy Pros. You guys can use them in the cheat sheet or check them out, fantasypros.com/MLB rankings. I got Cease a little bit higher than this, but he has not adjusted from ADP on the trade. So I think this is a good spot for my SP3.
Okay, so looking around the rest of the board here, as we keep coming back through, I'm up in a few picks. We have Dylan Cease, then Raisel Iglesias, Kyle Schwarber, Wilson Contreras, Christian Walker, 2 picks to me. I'm on tilt a little bit. I got to say, I'm not happy with the way things are going. I've gone complete Welsh here, just in the middle here. I think I know which way I want to go. I'm going to take some steady guys here.
You're going to love it soon then. If you're on my trajectory, you're going to hate it now, and you're going to love it by round like 13.
I'm going to hate it now, but you're like the worst salesman ever. You're going to love it in just like 2 or 3 years. You're going to
I'm just telling you, I'm saying push through this. I'm your therapist. You push through this. We're going to get there. You're going to love it here soon. I don't know if the grade at the end is going to, but you know what? As long as you're happy, Joe, with you, that's all that matters.
And that's true.
Except in fantasy baseball when it is important if we like it or not.
I'm going to lean in, Welsh. I'm going to lean into it. I'm going to take Munoz, take another closer here because they're flying fast and furious.
Oh, that's
So
unfortunate.
I'm going to lean in to what's going on, especially with more closer news as pitchers continue to drop like flies here in spring training. It's just, this is why you should always draft as late as you possibly can. My
Yeah.
home league draft is tomorrow night. This is that
Ooh.
last week of spring training where, you really kind of, people start to peter off a little bit, start to take a little bit of a break. But, we've got certainly a few days left. Hopefully everyone just gets to the draft healthy. That's what we're trying to do here. So Govier, you're up in a couple picks. Let's try to get in the recap here. So after I took Munoz, another closer off the board. So this is a group we're drafting with today, Welsh.
Yeah.
That seems very closer happy. Does this feel like
Another one?
This is good.
Off the board?
This
So
is where the wheel is going to hurt me. I can already feel it.
Oh.
Now, Welsh, you do not have a closer yet. So what is your plan now that you did not anticipate as you should have earlier?
Well, I'm going to be digging in the garbage. Apparently, I'm going to be Oscar the Grouch. That's going to end up happening because Evan Phillips was my plan, and now that is gone. And I'm anticipating probably 3 or 4 more closers. So I'm going to have to probably do a lot more speculation. There's still a few, but Evan Phillips, that was kind of that next tier target. Put him in the best draft targets video. So it
guy keeps sniping me. I hate it.
Govier got sniped again, and with a player that I was going to take too. So Castellanos goes off. That's the one I almost took. I decided instead to lean into the relief pitchers again because I got another guy that I do like. So you pivoted then to Torkelson. Pretty good pivot there. I mean, a guy who hit 30 bombs last year. Torkelson so far in the projections, again, 30, 87, 82. That seems pretty good there. Batting average hovering probably around 240. How do you feel about that Torkelson selection?
Well, Mookie Betts' legacy team is killing me. He's killing me. I wanted Castellanos for his batting average. Now I took a guy with more power. Where can I get batting average? Or should I take a pitcher here as I'm back on the clock? And I got to say, don't love all the pitching here at this moment. I don't want to take another closer either. I feel like I can get some more value there later. This is one of those times, gentlemen, where I just have to trust my gut and believe in the process. And I'm going to take Hyesung Kim. Multiple positional eligibility. I like that. I like variety and flexibility.
There you go. The variety's there. Kim is now there. By the way, Sewald and Wyatt Langford go. Wyatt Langford, in case you're keeping score at home, I just did a short about this. He is leading spring training in OPS, RBI, slugging. He's tied for second in home runs. He is tied for third in batting average and hits. Welsh, how does that
Wouldn't it be
make you
awesome
feel?
if they sent him down too? I think that would be the best. Like all of that. And they're like, well, he's really got to work on the way the ball gets out of the glove when he throws it from the outfield.
On what? What does he have to really work on? I mean, that's ridiculous.
I'm just saying it would be hilarious.
Enough with the slander. That's what I'm saying. Enough with the slander. That's what I'm saying. It's crazy. Just put the guy there, let him play. And if they do send him down, I mean, that would be just absurd. I mean, he's crushing it.
Yeah, no, he doesn't matter anywhere else.
Now I got sniped here in this. Lane Thomas off the board.
One interesting thing real quick with the Langford stuff is word came out. Kobe Mayo with the Orioles is a guy that's absolutely been dominating, but it came out that, what was the likelihood of him making the roster? And the team, I think it was the team official, said not very likely if Holiday makes the roster. And that's so interesting of the multi-rookie thing, because that was one of the arguments with the Rangers is they've already got Evan Carter, who's going to vie for that, rookie of the year thing for the extra pick. Maybe they don't need to press Langford. It's just weird that teams are going from, we'll put one guy, but even if this other guy is the best player, we still might not put him on the team. And that's what's going on with the Orioles.
It is. It's a mess. It's a total mess. There's also a good question real quick in the chat from JJ Russo. Should I wait to do our draft after the Korea opening day or do it now?
No,
I say wait.
Yeah, I think this series doesn't matter enough. I mean, it does take 2 games away from the Dodgers and the Padres, so I guess you could look at that from a whole. But Bogman and I, we're doing our home league like the night. I think we're doing it Wednesday night, and Thursday is opening day, so we're waiting.
I love it.
Yeah, look, the later you can wait, the better it is. I understand it's a little tricky because you're talking about games actually counting and starting. So that I can certainly understand. But so far here, again, this has been this is what happens. Our listeners are so smart. They've been doing such a good job watching all the shows, listening to all the shows, using all the tools and draft wizards and stuff like that. They're giving us a hard time today, which is good. I can't wait to see who wins this draft. After Kim goes, Marte goes, Lane Thomas goes. Both guys out of my queue. Michael King, of course, was in my queue. Can I mention I hate drafting sixth? I hate drafting in the middle. Welsh,
you don't like the middle.
Yeah, I don't like the middle. No, I don't like to be the meat in the sandwich here. Michael King goes, and then I took Seiya Suzuki because I want to get an outfielder as outfielders.
Great pick.
A little rough there. Michael, why do you like Suzuki this year? Let's talk about it, because I have 0 shares so far. This is the first time I think I've taken Suzuki.
I love it because he took his game up a notch. He figured some stuff out last year, reduced the Ks a bit more, got on base a little bit more, showed a little bit more power. And now as he comes into his own here, I kept him in my home league. That's a 14-team head-to-head Cats. I love Seiya Suzuki because his profile gives you a really safe floor.
All right. I agree, by the way. Safe floor, and that's what I was looking for there, because the upside of Lane Thomas was gone, and Michael King, had he made it to me, I would have selected Michael King. Everybody knows that for sure. All right, so Delvec goes and takes Young, then Tanner Bybee, Garrett Cole goes at 909. Still too early for my taste. Wilson Contreras, Josh Lowe, and then Welsh, your 2 picks are up.
I just took Evan Carter and Pete Fairbanks. I will tell you, I did not want to take the closer. I felt compelled because there's only 1 or 2 arms that I really like. I have such a long wait. Pete Fairbanks is in that Evan Phillips group, so I didn't want to say his name earlier. I only had 1 outfielder, and I took Evan Carter. I kind of wanted to take 2, to be honest with you, but I got to sacrifice something, and I'm sacrificing the balance overall. I've got 1 closer, 3 starting pitchers, 2 outfielders. I got a decent amount of infield, and I'm hoping a few things fall my way, but I'm going to have to wait 2 hours, a million picks between them.
All right. So after you took Carter and Fairbanks, Yandy Diaz, David Bednar, Tommy Edman, Andres Jimenez, Chris Bassett, and then I took Chris Sale. Yuri Perez was ranked higher, but again, I'm going to roll the dice on the old man here, and getting right in Atlanta and giving me 1 good year on that Atlanta Braves team. The strikeout rate was still strong there last year for Sale. A lot of weird injuries. To me, Sale can make or break this Braves team, because when your third starter isn't right, that's the difference. You know, you're expecting your 1 and 2 guys to always deliver, put you in spots to win. 4 and 5 is always going to be questionable. It's the guy who's in that third spot in your rotation in Major League Baseball. And when you're looking at, let's say, win totals for teams, to me, that's the deal breaker when I'm looking at overs and unders, is what does a third starter look like on that team? And Sale, if he is right, is a huge win for this Braves team. If he's another guy who's going to give you 100 innings, it's going to be a huge problem for the Atlanta Braves. So I took Sale here over Perez because, again, I'm worried that Perez can give me 120 innings, 130 innings. So Sale, to me, I'm going to take my shot on the guy who pitches for the Braves instead of the guy who pitches on the Marlins. Portland Pickles takes Jordan Walker, again, another guy out of my queue. Spencer Steer, Merrill Kelly, Josh Naylor, also out of my queue. Love this pick, Govier. I know you're on the clock, so we'll get to your second one in a second. Teoscar Hernandez, Zach Geloff, also out of my queue. My goodness, this group is fiery today. Durs is crushing it.
Durs is a problem. He needs to go.
Not only is Durs a problem, look at this rotation. Framber, Nola, Reagans. He's got Casas, Wyatt Langford, Alonso, Lindor, Acuna. Durs, if you lose this draft, this is on you, bro. Like,
Teoscar and Geloff is what I wanted to do.
By the way, Geloff is another guy having a great spring. Welsh, what are you taking out of that?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of strikeouts though. I was actually just looking at him the other day. The strikeouts are, I think, 36% in spring, the spring stats in general, like I've been sitting around being like, hey, Jared Kelenic is great. He's the worst spring training player of all time. And everyone is like, oh, there we go. He's garbage. It's like, okay, well, we're picking that apart, but then we also can't be super positive about the guys that are doing great. Coming back down, like the only thing I would have liked from Geloff is to see the strikeout rate lower. I don't care about the batting average. I didn't care about the power. I don't care about the speed. I just want to see the strikeout rate lower. And it's like 36% right now. So that's a little worrisome, but he's a 2020 guy. And I was about to take him.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and take the, what I imagine is probably the top lift here guy right now and continue to pound the outfield because outfield is rough. And I'm going to take George Springer again. A steal. I got not 1, not 2, but 3 clap emojis from Draft Wizard. So Draft Wizard, we're speaking terms again. Things are going very well for us. So after, I want to talk about Govier's picks here too. Josh Naylor, Clay Holmes. You took another closer here. So you've got 2 closers. You got Josh Naylor. Naylor to me is one of the great values on the board. Had a terrific season last year. Again, needs to play more than 120 games. But if he does, this could be a huge win for you at 10-11, Michael.
Oh, wow. We are definitely simpatico right there, my friend. Also, 2 references came by since the last time I said anything. Every time I hear Evan Carter, somebody wants to get Carter. Reminds me of that terrible movie with Sylvester Stallone called Get Carter.
I bought that movie. I owned that DVD.
Isn't that like if it wasn't like all the leftover remnants of like Payback with Mel Gibson?
I think it was like, yeah, it was like it was in the revenge film things. And it was like, mobby. I owned that movie.
It was a remake. So Michael Caine was in the original, I think, like in the 70s or something. So yeah,
I'm Michael Caine and I'll play a gangster in this movie. That's what I'll do. I'll play a gangster and I'll draft fantasy baseball teams That's what I do
Wow.
on my
That's a
weekends.
pretty good impression.
I do all the time.
Round of applause. Not bad.
Thank you very
Also,
much.
I love Josh Naylor too. Just to be on the record real quick, he's going to be a great batting average floor for you. I didn't get Castellanos. I took Naylor. I'm actually happy with that. It works out quite well.
Yeah, look, that's a hell of a pivot. I think things worked out pretty well there for you. And we're probably the only fantasy podcast, at least today, that's going to have a Macho Man imitation and a Michael Caine imitation. Michael Caine's fun to do. I think everybody has a Michael Caine imitation.
Yeah.
Everyone has that version of Michael Caine. And
have you ever seen The Trip? That's the best.
Right, your draft wizard is there to help you make your picks, make sure it's smart picks, make sure it's not stupid, so you get all your picks in there one thing. Right there, and make your cheat sheets so you're prepared, not like that idiot Joe Pisapia. All right, so Clay Holmes, then Dansby Swanson, Christian Encarnacion Strand, Bailey Ober, I took Springer. Then you have Jackson Churio, Anthony Santander, Ian Happ, Bryson Stott, Marcelo Zuna at 11-11, then Riley Green to the Welsh, and Tanner Scott. So Welsh, do you feel like you should have just continued to wait a little bit more on closers, or do you feel like you got your forced hand here? I feel like your hand was forced. That's how I'm feeling right these last couple picks.
Not necessarily. We are delving into the not liking this draft portion, that I'm the worst person of all time and I should rethink what I do. Like, we're kind of in that realm because I just took Tanner Scott and Riley Green and I keep getting sniped. I wanted Bryson Stott so bad. So we're on the downturn of my negative and we'll come back up with some picks. But no, the closer thing I actually really don't feel is a problem. Little bit worried about starting pitching and stolen bases. I'm trying to make sure I can compete in stolen bases. Just I had a very concrete way I wanted to think of this team, and then when you start deviating off of certain players or bad batting average, and it kind of throws you up. That's why, by the way, I passed up a stolen base option with a bad batting average for one of my favorite breakouts this year in Riley Green. Hard hit numbers were through the roof. XBA works in his favor. Expected batting average, I think he's in it 20 plus homers, steal 10, going to be in the middle of the lineup. So I've got 3 incredibly great outfielders, but I'm feeling a little bit of the pressure.
Well, I think you're going to be annoyed with the way this round is going when you're talking about looking for more stolen bases, because after you took Tanner Scott, Charlie Morton goes, Yuri Perez goes, Sonny Gray goes, then Yusturi Ruiz at 12:05, Vinny Pasquantino, my people, at 12:06. Then I took Anthony Volpe at 12:07.
That's who I was gonna take
I
took Riley Green. I was gonna take Riley Green and Volpe, and I decided to pass on Volpe to get the second closer. So maybe you're right. Maybe the not having the elite closer made me take 2 middle guys, and I just lost those stolen bases. I feel
like that's, I know Michael's up, so I'm gonna let him make his picks. But Welsh, I feel like that's the thing. It's like if you miss the run, just throw darts later, because I feel like when you try to mess around with those middle guys, not only is their job security sometimes tenuous, but on top of which you're also worried about missing out on, like I said, the Volpes of the world, Pasquantino, right? Some of these players, Jackson Churio, like some of these more exciting younger players that you might have had an opportunity to take. Do you feel like that's a better practice if you miss the beginning closer run, just wait to the very end of it?
Yeah, I mean, that is the way to go. Again, like the closing market, I think, is getting a little bit funky. We are getting a few more answers though, in the Rangers announcing it looks like Jose Leclerc is going to be the guy, but those back-end closers, though, it seems like there's going to be more rotational fireman spots. Pat Murphy said it with the Brewers. Instead of naming Pamps the closer, they just said, well, he foresees leverage situations. And you might see a lot more leverage situations at the back end. So I feel a lot less comfortable with them.
All right.
I've been calling him Pamps a lot, by the way. Yeah. Pamps. I'm just doing that now. I've been doing it for the last 2 weeks. Pamps.
I have a bad feeling my rotation is going to look very old very soon. I'm looking at the board and what's out there. I'm like, this might be a rotation for 2017. It might be. We'll see. Let's continue on here with the picks. After I took Volpe, then Luis Arise, Ryan Helsley, Cedric Mullins, Alec Boehm to Govier, then Durs at the turn at 12-12, Alzolay and Shane Bieber, another guy that I was thinking about taking here when I came back, and then Jorge Soler. So you got a corner guy here. You got an outfielder in Soler. Any concerns about Soler moving to this ballpark in San Fran?
That's just absurd. I mean, the guy cranks dongs in Kansas City, not exactly a home run paradise. And then he does it in Miami. Again, not a place where it's a home run free-for-all. So this guy can hit his power plays everywhere. So any talk this season about that narrative about, oh, boy, he's going to San Francisco, might not be able to hit 30 home runs. The only thing that's going to prevent him from hitting 30 home runs is injuries. That's his biggest bugaboo. Otherwise, I'm very confident that Soler is a good floor for power.
All right. Welsh will continue to look through here. Pickles is up, and then I'm going to be next on the board.
Yuck.
Some tough decisions are going to have to be made here on this starting pitcher board. I can tell you right now, because we are in that spot here where you got to grab the right guy at the right time. Could be Verlander, could be Hunter Brown, could be Yu Darvish, all of which are around there for me potentially. Darvish just made his Cactus debut, slated to do that, so that's pretty good. We're moving in the right direction there, it seems like. I'm going to go ahead and take a shot on Verlander. I already took a shot on Sale. I'm in for a penny. I'm in for a pound. Might as well just keep going down this road. And either this team's going to be first or last. I can tell you right now with the way
Ricky
things
Bobby.
are going here.
It's a Ricky Bobby team.
Very
I was going to go
Ricky
Verlander. So
But you know what? Verlander is a fourth starter. I can live with that, Welsh. Do you think that's where you want to live with him this year?
I wanted him as my fourth star. I wanted to take, yeah, no, absolutely. I think it mitigates the risk a little bit. I think there's a lot more upside. When Verlander's your SP3, you're kind of a little bit dicey. That's why I think, like, when you get into SP4 territory, you can take more risk. Like Hunter Green, I think literally just went, like, you can stomach those type of players where they could, maybe if they blow up a little bit, but it's your SP four. Like, if you've got three guys in front to carry your rotation, I'm willing to take those shots. And that's what I was going to do. And now I'm up, so you can talk.
All right, I will talk now. So Jorge Soler goes to Govier, then Barrios at 1303, Estrada, Kimbrel, I took Verlander, Kenley Jansen at 1307, Diaz, another catcher off the board here, Yoshida, Hunter Green, James Outman. Welsh is up for 2 picks there. So let's see what he's going to do. My guess is there's going to be one starting pitcher at least in this.
There is going to be one.
That's what I'm thinking. Govier, you agree? I think that's where he's going here, another starting pitcher.
Oh, yeah. Everybody knows Welsh loves a good starter. I mean,
he does.
That's what he's known for, isn't it?
I'm just happy.
It's well known.
I'm just happy that the phrase "cranking dongs" made the show today. Well, thanks to Govier. That's why you have him on. So Chaz McCormick and Yu Darvish, who I was contemplating. So would you have taken Verlander over Darvish, Wells? That's my question.
Yeah, I would have taken Verlander. Was my pick.
Why?
I think I mean, like, Darvish has been a little bit more explosive, like blowing up. Verlander's stuff, for the most part, is still there. It's been injuries that are holding him back. Darvish wasn't. Darvish had a complete fall apart and injuries that are tied to it. So I think Verlander is just a much safer bet, and maybe even a safer bet for wins. And I just don't feel like his stuff is as scary right now. Darvish is a little bit of a risk here. Probably not going to do anything for the projections or anything like that. But again, what I just say, like, SP4, I can take some risk. If Darvish does find himself again, then this is going to be an absolute steal. And it does. Ariel Cohen
in the value zone.
Yeah, and Ariel Cohen said he might be one of the big massive values according to ATC as well in later drafts. So I'm fine with it.
Value zone, baby. Yu Darvish has entered the value zone.
And I took Chas McCormick for stolen bases because I'm lagging. And that is my fourth outfielder, though. So I've already filled that spot out, but I was lagging in stolen bases. So hopefully that helps me a tiny bit.
All right. Alvarado goes after, then Sean Murphy. Jake Berger, another guy, was going to take at 1404, but I couldn't. Nolan Gorman, Brian Woo, and then I am up next. Got a lot of different ways I can go here. I am not taking Max Muncy, even though I love you, Draft Wizard, but I'm not a Muncy guy. I'm just
that's my rank talking to you, Joe.
It is, but I'm instead going to pivot. I'm going to take Rhys Hoskins here instead. I think that's the better overall pick. And what I can do now, again, this is the flexibility that I had earlier. I talked about, he can go to corner. I can play Nolan Jones at first. I can move Jones to the outfield. I can just continue to see what makes it back to me. So this is where those early picks can pay off for you as the board gets a little thin here as we continue on. We are in the 14th round, so that pick was 1407. Govier, what are you looking to do here? You've still got, am I seeing this correctly, just 2 starting pitchers here?
That is correct, Joe. You are perceptive, and that's why you are in the position of power that you are in. Nice work. Nice work. I'll say this. I'm not going to tell you what I'm going to do because Mookie Betts is on the clock, and then he'll snipe me. So I'm going to keep it hush-hush, but you're about to see exactly what I'm going to do. Also, Rhys Hoskins is kind of just being ignored. Like, oh, remember that guy? And this is a 30 home run bat here, so that's a good play. Even if this is Roto with average, I know Hoskins is an OBP preferably, but the power plays everywhere. Look,
if he hits 245, 250, like, that's great. I'll take that. I'll take that with 28 homers and then 80. I think that's well within his grasp, especially if
he was at the top of my queue too. I absolutely at the top of my queue for a corner infield spot. I think he's in for a big bounce back. 30 again, getting 30 home runs post 150 should be something you pay attention to. Those players that have legit shots at 30 homers. He is at the tippy top of the list of a 30 home run bat post 150. So I think it's a great pick.
Sal Perez, Mitch Keller, Brandon Nimmo. Then Govier takes a starter, Carlos Rodon, Jaron Duran at 14-12. Then Ezekiel Tovar. Durs is definitely using the Joey P. Welsh cheat sheet, I feel like. I'm looking at
Durs
this
is
team.
brutal.
Durs is crushing it right now. And then Hunter Brown, another pitcher that was on my list. So Rodon and Brown,
Now I
that's
got
the third
4.
and fourth starters. There you go. Now you got 4 just like that. The Wormers turn. Govier. Give me your lowdown on these two guys, Rodon and Hunter Brown.
Hunter Brown's ratios are going to come down. He's got the Ks. He can miss bats. Also, he's a local boy of Michigan, which is cool. And Carlos Rodon is it's a risk because he could get hurt tomorrow, but he could also strike out 250 hitters this year. So I feel really good about getting these guys in the 160s. I'm cool with that.
Yeah, certainly works. Makes a lot of sense there. There is one guy I think I'm going to go out and I'm going to reach for, and I think his projections are just way too low right now, personally. Who is it, Welsh?
Who it is.
Who do you think it is?
Edward Julian.
It's not. Not yet. But
I love him. I love him.
Portland Pickles is up, but I don't know why. I can't make my pick here. I don't know.
No.
Oh, there we go. Now I'm up. There it is. Sorry, it was a little glitch there in the matrix there. Jackson Holiday went, and then I took Imanaga. If Holiday was there, I probably would have made that selection there. So did I take Imanaga? No, they took it out from under me
3
again.
seconds.
Hold on.
Wait, you tried to take Imanaga?
I tried to take Imanaga, but unfortunately, I think I was just a little too early there. But
well, no, he went before you.
You got sniped.
I got sniped again, right? But
yeah.
it was a little bit of a pause there, a little glitch here in my internet for a second. So
everyone breathe.
Now I've got to regroup. This is really. You guys are getting too good at this. I just want to say, I'm very proud.
You know what we need when you get sniped? We need the Randy Orton. You know where you're like, oh, and then Randy Orton comes in and RKO
out of nowhere.
You just got RKO'd.
I pretty much did. I pretty much did here, and now I've got to regroup yet again here. Looking at my options, obviously I've got Paredes, I've got Julian. I think I can wait a little longer. Maybe I'm wrong. We'll see. He keeps wanting me to take Max Muncy. It's going to crush my average. I don't know if that's the route I want to go. I probably need more starting pitchers here, so I think that's probably where I'm going to end up going. Walker Buehler is interesting, but again, I just don't like taking guys that are already hurt to start the year. I'm going to take a guy with the Arizona Diamondbacks with Eduardo Rodriguez. So it could tell me it's a slight reach. I still love the pitcher. I love what he was doing last year. He's got strikeout potential. Good team. He was brilliant in the first half last year. I know injuries kind of derailed the second a little bit, but all in all, Imanaga, that was the guy I wanted. Jackson Holiday, the other guy I wanted. Once again, snipey. Alex Lang, Holiday, Imanaga, then Eduardo Rodriguez, Eloy Jimenez. There you go, Govier. 1507, pick of the draft. DJ Loco selects Stephen Kwan. Manic is up, then Mr. Buster, then Nate Miller. Welsh, what are you hoping to do here with the way your roster is shaping up?
Well, I'm looking at some power. I'm looking at starting pitchers. I feel like I got stolen bases, but I'll tell you, the system does not agree. I'm kind of near the bottom, but I think one more guy is going to cure that. But I kind of want to continue my big power run, and Max Muncy was one of them, and so is Edward Julian. God, you guys are the worst. You guys are the worst people.
Well, your boy Brandon Fott's still floating around there, too.
He is still floating around. I am going to take a middle infielder, though. I'm going to get big power. This is going to hurt my batting average a little bit, but I'm going to go Willie Adames, or Willie Adams. And I don't know what I'm going to do with the other one, because all these players are stinky, and I hate every single one of them. But you filibuster here. Filibuster.
Well, Kenta Maeda is always another selection for you, Welsh. You can always go that route. You Darvish, Kenta Maeda. That sounds like a Welsh pitching staff to me. But you do have 1, 2, 3, 4 starting pitchers here. You do have 2 closers, so you have some time here. You've got the ability to work out of this. So at the end of the day, it was Brandon Fott, which again, that's a no-brainer Welsh pick, I feel like here.
Yeah, it was going to be Muncy and Adames, and I was going to really tank some batting average here and try to make up for it. Muncy went ahead. Edward Julian, I still need a second baseman. I have not locked in a second baseman, so I'm going really, really late here. This is the position that I punted. Brandon Fott's probably not going to do me a ton of favors on projections, but SP5 all day long. Absolutely all day long.
SP5 all day long, baby. All day long. Interesting. Some names still on the board too. And this is one of those things when you're in the deeper leagues, when you go from the 10-person league to the 12-person league to even 15, things get really dicey. You have to make sure that you have a plan for these later rounds. Absolutely. So after you did your selections there, Welsh, you took Fott, then Pavetta, one of your other guys goes off the board. Friedel, Hayes, Brian Bayo. 1606 is up. I'm on the clock right now and looking at the rest of this board here, trying to figure out which way I want to go. thank goodness Draft Wizard is here to help me figure these things out, because I certainly need some guidance right now. There is no more closer on the board. Maybe I will go that route too and just kind of be a jerk. I think sounds like something
just
I
be
would
a jerk.
Sounds like something I would do. But Eovaldi off the board as well. Walker Buehler, Welsh. Are you taking Walker Buehler anywhere? Is that a pick that you are looking to make? Because he is another guy that's floated now here in the 16th round.
I think we're in the territory where you can do it. The biggest worry is he's not going to start with the team. But I'd also say we're not dealing with like massive setbacks or anything like that. Here are the negatives. He's not starting. They've got a 6-man rotation, and no guy's going to get over 150 innings. It doesn't actually mean, though, that Walker Buehler still can't get there if he doesn't start the year off. So not that I'm advocating for drafting him really high. We're in the Walker Buehler territory right now, though. If you want to take that risk.
Welsh, that Garrett Cole went in the 9th round and Kodai Senga is still here in the 16th.
I mean, I'm not taking.
I
made that really apparent. Like, there's no chance I'm taking Garrett Cole in the top. I don't care if it's like, oh, he does. He's not. He's gonna be gone for like 2 months, and it might be longer. And if the team really wants to play it close to the chest, they might be like, let's do this post All-Star break. So taking him in the top 150 just makes no sense to me right now.
Completely agree.
Soto Imanaga, I'm taking hands down over Garrett Cole right now, and Cole's further down.
100%.
When we're talking about that too, if you want to take a shot on a pitcher that maybe you're getting a value on because of an injury, looking at this board right now, again, Senga theoretically is supposed to at some point start to work his way back. Govier, that seems like a lot better path here around 16, 17 than Garrett Cole in the 9th round.
Yeah, it's a no-brainer to me. I don't even know why this is happening right now. It's very bizarre. In fact, I think that Kodai Senga has a much better chance of giving you at least 100 innings this year than Cole does.
I agree.
At all.
I agree. I think there's a much better chance that even if it takes Senga longer, that Senga gives you more innings. I know you're on the clock with 10 seconds here to go.
There it is.
So I'm going to recap. There you go. You did it. All right. So let's go through these picks here. So after Eovaldi, I took Christian Javier at 1607. I mean, pretty deep in the starting pitcher realm. I'll take that shot on the guy who, the flamethrowing guy here. Trevor Story at 1608, Gabriel Moreno at 1609, one of Welsh's favorites at Considine, and then Mookie Betts selected Bryce Miller. Morel to Hugh Govier and Aaron Savali, another really nice pick there. I love that one. Cal Raleigh at 1612, and then Paredes at 1701. Let's talk about Savali, because that's a dude. Again, it feels like, I say it all the time, the Rays get their claws in somebody. Next thing you know, you get the best version of them. Do you think that you're going to get the best version of Savali this year?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's why I made the pick here. This is a mock draft, but I'm locked in. I'm assuming there's $1 million pot at stake here. So I'm not screwing around. To me, Savali's ratios really going to help out with the rest of my pitching staff. I got guys like Carlos Rodon, Logan Gilbert. So I love what Savali brings. But also, in the latter part of the year after he was traded to the Rays, Savali was making some hitters miss some pitches. And I think that the Rays are going to tap into that more in 2024. I think Savali is a very underrated asset this year.
All right. I am up on the clock. The guy that I wanted is still there. So Michael Garcia off of my team, the queue and onto my roster there. So he'll be my third baseman / shortstop, whatever. You can call Gunnar Henderson my third baseman if it makes everybody happy out there. I think I got a nice balance here of stolen bases, of power. I've got some guys to help me with the batting average to offset maybe guys like Volpe, but I like the way this roster is coming together offensively. I like the depth of the pitching staff. Glasnow, Steele, Sale, Verlander, Javier, and Eduardo Rodriguez. So I feel pretty decent about
Joey, I'll
this.
tell you, you are projected the second most stolen bases. Actually, you just moved to third live, which you can check when you're on the draft board on Draft Wizard. You can go through your stolen bases. You are in the top half. So good on you.
I feel good about that.
I feel right.
I feel pretty good. Let's see how Draft Wizard grades. So I am doing a full Welsh here because I definitely am starting to pull out of the tailspin in these last couple picks. But man, that middle was rough, Welsh. I was
starting to like it. That's what happens. That's the Welsh draft cycle. Is you
never go full Welsh.
Why does everybody let me do this? And then it's I'm the worst person. I should give it all up and then come back and everything's okay. That's the Welsh
smartest
draft
man
cycle.
alive. Candelario goes at 1703. Gavin Williams at 1704. Then Francisco Alvarez. Me in the middle. 1706. Michael Garcia, and then we have Tristan McKenzie, Pepio, Starling Marte, Walker Buehler, Jorge Polanco, Leclerc. That's the guy, Welsh. That was the last closer.
I know. When you said closers, I cringed. I was like, oh.
You knew. And then Matt Chapman next for you. So Chapman and Leclerc, let's talk about this in these selections you made. How do you feel about these two picks?
Yeah, I mean, I don't love what's left at corner infield. I got to fill one of the spots. I 1,000% wanted Jamer Candelario, and he went. So I
Mhm.
had to pivot. Like I said, I don't like the first. Nate Lowe's out there. Third base was drying up. And Matt Chapman's one of those players that I'm going to just hope for the bounce back. You know, Eno had talked about him just getting that average a little bit back up. The hard hit numbers are there. It's a little bit of a more difficult hitting environment, I suppose, but he's going to be put in a really good opportunity for runs and RBI. So I think that's pretty solid, right around 200. And then I went for a third closer in there to get just a few more saves. It was really projecting me low, by the way, with Fairbanks and with Tanner Scott. So this is a tiny bit more protection for some saves. So I am investing a little bit higher in there. These are not sexy picks. These are the most unsexy picks of Matt Chapman and Jose Leclerc, but it's what you got to do sometimes at the end of your draft.
All right. So at the end of the draft here, I'm feeling pretty good about the board now. Now all of a sudden things have definitely righted the ship. Byron Buxton, by the way, who already got hurt today, by the way, in case you were keeping him at home. 1802. Kodai Senga at 1803. Javier Baez at 1804. Brandon Drury. So this is how you know this is our people. DJ Local taking Brandon Drury here, 1805. Then Nathaniel Lowe. I took Dalton Varsho at 1807. Need another outfielder there. So I got my fourth outfielder on this team. I still need the util spot. Oh, Jung-Hoo Lee went. That's the guy that I was hoping to make it back to me so I could beef up that average. Well done, Considine. Considine's got me a couple of times, so well done, JM. Well done. Mookie Betts legacy, Braxton Garrett. Govier, you're up here with 17 seconds. Welsh, Jung-Hoo Lee, looking at the projection so far for him, projected to score 69 runs, hit 10 homers, steal 7 bags, hit 284. I think he can go closer to 90 runs scored in this Giants lineup. I think he can probably match that 10 home runs, and I think the batting average is going to be over 300. What do you think here about these projections for Lee based off of what your expectations might be?
Yeah, I think I view him as like a Luis Ariz of the outfield. I think this is a batting average and a runs play. I'm not counting on homers. I'm not counting on stolen bases. I think RBIs will be non-existent. So if you're down for a 3-category player or a 2-category player, then do it. I think he's a better points league player. And I'm really only taking him if I have screwed up batting average, which a lot of people do. It's one of the most common things to screw up early in drafts. That's when I'm going to put my focus on him. He's not going to be a major draft target in non-points league formats for me.
All right, Govier, you made 2 picks here, so let's talk about your 2. After Lee, Braxton Garrett, then you took Kenta Maeda, then Mason Miller went at 1812, Gurriel at 1901, and then Hunter Harvey in Washington, the reliever, at 1902. So Maeda and Harvey, let's talk about those 2 picks, Michael.
Oh, well, I got to give it up. I blew it. And I'm just going to come clean right now because I should have taken Mason Miller instead of Maeda. And I probably could have got Maeda in 3 picks after that, but Durs took Miller right after I took Maeda. And if I could do it over again, I would like to reverse that because there was a couple other starters I liked similar to Maeda. Even though I love Maeda this year, I'm very, very excited about Maeda in Detroit this season. And Mason Miller was kind of like the last closer I really liked. Now Harvey's a guy who I prefer in Washington, but Finnegan's still around for now. But eventually Finnegan will show his true colors, and I like Harvey's stuff to outlast him for saves.
All right, so I took Varsho with my last pick, and because the pick predictor said that this next guy is going to make it back to me. So I want to see if he does, because if he does, I'm very happy. And he did. Logan O'Hoppe is going to be my catcher here. So I'm going to go ahead and take some more power. I got to steal again. So making up time here. And these are very useful tools. Again, Draft Wizard pick predictor. It said O'Hoppe had a good chance of making it back to me. Varsho did not. So I took Varsho. I got the outfielder locked in. After Harvey went, Jeremy Pena, Christopher Sanchez, Cutter Crawford, another guy that we've talked about quite a bit on the show. Garrett Whitlock, by the way, not just Crawford, but Whitlock having a really good spring. Govier, could this finally be the year where Whitlock becomes a useful fantasy guy? Because I feel like we get teased every year with that guy. Is this the breakout, possibly?
Ooh, we're trying to put the past in the past. And that one season a couple years ago where Boston screwed around with Tanner Houck and Whitlock in the rotation, reliever, in the rotation, reliever. It stunted their growth a bit, but I actually prefer Houck of all 3 right now. I would go Houck, Whitlock, and then Cutter Crawford looking at that Boston rotation. But I do admit that I'm a little skeptical about Whitlock because of the injuries. That's the only concern. But I actually think if he's healthy, then we could be looking at a value play here, Joe.
All right, so value there potentially on the board. We'll see how that works out. He's still floating around there. We'll see if anybody drafts him. I took O'Hoppe. After O'Hoppe, Carlos Correa goes at 1907. Carlos Estevez, back-to-back Carloses, or Carlos I don't know what the plural of Carlos is. Lars Nootbaar at 1909.
A murder of Carlos.
A murder of Carloses? Okay, there you go. Jonathan India at 1910. Griffin Canning at 1911, and Welsh finally, after 3 hours, gets to make 2 more picks.
So long. It's just the longest I've ever waited for a pick. I just took Justin Turner, who's going to qualify in some formats at second, and I get to throw him at second for the batting average push back up. And here's the deal. I just don't like any players that are left. So that is a critical error. Taking Ohapi, I wish I had taken Ohapi earlier. I kind of screwed up there. I'm going to go with Jonah Heim. I'm going to lock in my catcher now. A little bit higher batting average. I do like Mitch Garver quite a bit, but Jonah Heim is a solid pick. But, I'm taking him at the end, and the system is telling me I'm getting a steal on this. I filled out my roster outside of one pitching spot, so it's going to time to take a turn to the bench and get some riskier plays. And this is also where the system is going to probably hate or love if we take too many risks on the bench. But just telling everybody again, though we may take some boring or type plays, get in and get some risk stuff in here. These are guys you can burn
this
and turn.
Is the time for risk. I love, by the way, you taking Justin Turner there. I mean, another guy. Yeah, give me 280, 20, 80, 80. I mean, that's if he plays 140 games or 35, that's probably what you're going to get.
It just doesn't help my stolen bases. It is going to be a clear issue for me, especially when playing Roto. You don't want to punt. I do have a couple serious. I'm just going to let everybody know now. I'm watching it live. I've got 3 to 4 categories that are serious problems for me, but I'm also on those others really high. So we're going to have to see where the balance comes out. And I need to try to fix that wherever I can. Stolen bases.
So then you should finish 6th by that account. Like
anything
less than 6 is a disappointment.
No, because I'm very, very high in like 5 or 6 other categories. So just
all right. I got another steal, by the way, according to Draft Wizard. So that's 3 of my last 5 picks. I got the steal button.
He's on fire.
Govier, isn't it nice to have emojis kind of like support you emotionally? I feel like that's a good thing sometimes, right? We all need that.
It's never a negative. We need them in our lives. Without emojis, this country would be lost.
If Welsh was running Draft Wizard, the poop emoji would be there and tell you this is a terrible pick.
I would do emojis for every single pick. 1,000%.
So after Heim, Kyle Harrison, Reed Detmers, Kybert Ruiz, Marcus Stroman, Nestor Cortez, then to me at 2007, I took JD Martinez because he's going to be on a team in the next, 24, 48 hours, probably
Mets.
Welsh. I feel like, so that's my DH. So my utility guy, I feel pretty good. Mitch Garver was still on the board. That's another guy certainly worthy of taking. Mackenzie Gore, Brandon Lau, Ryan Mountcastle, Govier. You took Taylor Ward, who was the guy that if Martinez wasn't there, I was going to take. So that's a pretty good pickup in the 20th round. A guy last year, again, 97 games, but you extrapolate those numbers, you're looking at a 20 home run guy, 75, right?
I'm curious what you guys think, because he got hit last year in the face. It was awful. Okay. So Taylor Ward has to get over that mental hurdle, but if he gets over that mental hurdle, he's going to be the guy he was before. And I'm curious if you guys are buying into what I'm buying in, and that's the Ron Washington effect. I just feel like Ron Washington's going to take this Angels team up a little bit more than where they've been recently.
Well, what do you think about that effect?
I think they're going to run, and that's what they said they're going to do. I know we talked with Scott Pianowski, which you can check out the entire interview on the YouTube channel. It was a great one during Fantasy Fest. Said he didn't believe that Trout was going to start running, even though that's going to be like a Washington push. Maybe that's not going to be the case, but that's why I'm so high on Zach Neto. And I've been putting him as a breakout player. I think he is going to be tremendous. I think Rengifo is another one of those players. I do think we're going to have a handful of players that are going to steal more bases under Washington for sure.
You've loved Neto since the day he was born.
Yeah.
He did. He's been a Neto guy. Always has been, always will be. All right. After you took Ward, Ladola went and Bo Naylor. Then Parker Meadows, another Welsh favorite here. Let's talk about him.
Hey, Welsh, thanks. That's great.
2020 potential, shares the name of my son. My son actually got to meet him in the AFL, and he was so excited to say, "My name is Parker," and he was like, "My name is too." And they shared that friendship. But Parker Meadows is a guy that can lead off.
We just became best friends.
We did, yep. And they didn't do karate or anything like that.
No, they should.
It's okay. But Parker Meadows led off a ton in the AFL. There's always the possibility they could put him in that. I don't think they will, but they could put him in those situations. But there's 20 power, there's 20 stolen bases. At the back end of an order, he might be running a little bit more too, which could get those up. So maybe you can get a 15-25 if he plays the whole season. He's a cool 5-tool player that might not suffer anywhere. He's a great 4th, 5th outfielder, or even a bench guy if you can take him.
All right, so after Meadows, Kerry Carpenter, Andrew Abbott, Rengifo, I took Devin Williams because Oh, I can. It's a 21st round. He's been shut down. He's supposed to be back in 3 months. So maybe I get him back in June, and that's some more saves for me because I think he's going to go right back into that role. I would be shocked if he didn't. Suarez at 21.07, Kyle Bradish at 21.08. So it's the round, obviously, where we take hurt pitchers, folks. 21st round, mark it at home. So you're ready for hurt pitchers in the 21st round. Manic is up, then Mr. Buster, Nate Miller, Welsh. You've got 2 picks coming up sometime this century. What do you want to do with these 2?
I actually wanted to take Bradish. That was where I was going to go with it, but I
Ooh.
can't.
So again, here's another thing. So Senga goes, and then Bradish goes even later. Who is the best ROI of the hurt pitchers? Because like Scherzer is still on the board too. Like how do you justify and when do you justify taking some of these hurt guys? Because that's something that's been very popular on the questions in the chat here today.
Well, I think it's when you can put them on the bench or you can put them at the very, very back end of the rotation. It also depends on probably the risk that you've taken on as this draft has gone on. Like if you've got a bunch of hurt starting pitchers, you might want to think twice before you end up doing that. So I think in the spot that I'm in or that we're in at this, 250 where we're drafting bench guys, if he starts or if he misses just a little bit of time and Bradish comes back healthy, it's top 15, top 20 SP. So that's why it's worth the risk, especially in a Roto format. It's even a little bit more, but it didn't happen. I didn't get them. But I actually think Senga and Bradish should be a lot closer. So I'm a little bit surprised that they were that far off.
Aren't Cole and Bradish closer, or am I missing something there? I mean, how?
Well, no, not really. Not on the ranks on the ECR. Cole is still higher significantly than.
I guess I mean by the elbow in the end. It seems like they had similar injuries. So
it seems like neither of them to me are good investments this year. Like I keep coming back to Senga being the guy who's like, all right, well, it's a shoulder thing. It's not that it's not serious. And of course, I always think negatively when it's the Mets because I've been trained that way. But Govier, it feels like there's a path where Senga, it's like, yeah, he's going to be okay. It seems like we're doing the right due diligence here on it. Whereas the possibility of the entire season being a wash for Bradish and Cole just seems like a bigger potential hurdle for me. Where do you stand, Govier, on drafting some of these injured guys too? I mean, guys like Devin Williams, another guy too. Like, when is it a value or when is it just not worth your draft capital?
It's only worth it if it's a very final 4 or 5 roster spots at the very end of a draft. If it's a 30 team or 30 roster places and you got 26, 27, 28, 29, yeah, take a shot there. But otherwise, I'm staying away from pitchers who are borderline about to be on the shelf for a lot longer than we can expect. And to me, Cole and Bradish are much more riskier than Senga, who's, I know shoulder issues can be just as a big a deal, but it seems like he has more of a chance to get back in the mix here than those do. And I also think Verlander is a guy I actually think he's just taking his time. I really do. I know he's got an issue, but I also think they want to gear him up for the playoff run because it's Houston. They're in the playoffs every year.
I think that's very astute too. I think it's the same thing too. Like you shouldn't rush him because you need him in October more than you need him in April. You're going to still win games. You're still going to be up at the front. Plus, rotation's still full of guys like Hunter Brown and Christian Javier, who you're worrying about. Okay, what are they going to give us this year? And if they're not giving us what we need come the stretch run in August and September, you have to lean on Verlander even more potentially. So speaking of her pitchers, I just took one as well. So I'm staying with the theme of the show today.
Same.
Max Scherzer. So Welsh, you took Kelenic and Taj Bradley. I want to go back to your picks here. So are you concerned yet about Kelenic spraying Welsh? Because I think you should be.
Yeah, of course. Bizarizza hated the pick in there. I get you guys hating it. I don't like that he's literally the era's worst spring training player of all time, but it is spring training and it is maybe he's just the world's
worst player of all time.
He might, and you know what he might be. Bringing in Duvall really took off me ever doing any type of hype on it. But we're on the bench. I'm going to take him just in case it does transfer back out of spring training into the season starting well, because he's a legit 2020 option. Like I said, it's a better ballpark factor for left-handed hitters. If it doesn't work, I'm going to move off from him. This is a guy I was taking inside the top 200 earlier. It was wrong. Now I got him around 260. That's a much easier thing to stomach.
After you took Taj Bradley, another guy also injured. Again, these are the theme of the late rounds. Ryan McMahon, Jack Sawinski, Shane Boz also injured. Lance Lynn, had he made it to me, I would have taken Lynn because give me, the 6 months, give me a shot here that Lance Lynn has something left in the tank there. Again, the strikeouts were there. It's just the results were all over the place. Giancarlo Stanton at 2206, the poster boy for injuries. Max Scherzer, Brian Abreu. Then we have AJ Puck. Mitch Garver goes at 2210, a great value there. A guy hitting cleanup again. Brendan Donovan goes to Govier, and then Durstix, Reese Olson, and Louis Varland. Matt Wallner, another outfielder for you. So Donovan and Wallner, let's talk about these two picks you made here.
Donovan, one more time, positional flexibility. And I admit he's a little bit more useful in OBP leagues, but even in Roto average leagues that we're doing here, I like Donovan because he's good. I mean, he'll be at the top of that lineup. He will be. So that's a good place to be. I don't know how long it'll last or if it sticks, but I do know that I like his ability to provide flexibility for me. And then taking Wallner, that's just a power bat that I like. I think he's got a lot of potential this year if he can get the at-bats and stay consistent. I don't think it was a fluke last year. Every time he's come up to the majors, he's shown a little something, and I'm expecting Matt Wallner to take another step forward in 2024.
All right, so Wallner off the board, Chris Bryant, Zach Neto, there he goes. Ryan Presley, Junior Caminero to Joey P.
God, that makes me so mad. I missed Caminero, and I got excited, and you did it.
That's right. I did it to you, Welsh. By the way, for this particular roster here, my weakness is kind of third base because Garcia is more of like a, middle infield kind of guy. Caminero, hopefully I'll have him sometime in May on this roster, theoretically, as I'm drafting it. We do every draft here as though we're going to play this season out. We don't muck around these parts of Fantasy Pros MLB. Okay, we're really thinking, because we want you to see and learn from these drafts as much as you possibly can as we're doing them, why we're doing the picks, what the mindset is, and how to take that. I can't believe this is the last one, too. So Neto off the board, Caminero off the board, Colt Keith off the board, a lot of rookies flying off here. Emmett Sheehan and John Gray off the board, J.P. Crawford at 2310. Welsh, what's the backup plan here? I think I know what it is, but I want to hear it from your mouth.
I don't think you know what it is.
I think I do.
I'm going to go with one position player, and I'm going to go with a pitcher. Who do you think it is? Am I forgetting someone that I should be?
I will be honest with you. I will tell you who I think is.
Well, I know the hitter I'm thinking of is not, so I'm actually going to just do it here. We're going to go with Johan Rojas for stolen bases because he's one of the higher projected players. Even in 300 plus plate appearances, it's like 20 plus stolen bases. He could steal 40 if given the opportunity. He's like a poor man's Esteruri Ruiz. And then as far as pitching goes, I'm going to go for my guy, Michael Wacha, as I've taken him in every single draft. And I love taking him on the bench or as a back end starting pitcher. Who did you think I was going to go with, though?
Well, you'll see, because I'm going to take him with my next pick if he makes it to me. So
it's going to be a rookie is who you're thinking.
It is. We'll see if you can guess which one it might be. But who knows? He might not make it to me with the way this crew.
I hope he doesn't.
I hope he does, and I think he might. So we shall see here as time goes on.
I believe.
We're gonna end up with. So let's recap the picks here going forward. Jordan Hicks after Wacha, then Will Smith, the relief pitcher. 3 picks left to me, and then we're gonna break it all down. So make sure you stick with us, because when this is over, we're gonna see the draft grades, who hated the teams, who loved the teams, and where we all finished. Govier, if you have a prediction here, where do you think you finished in this draft in terms of the analysis? Are you at the top of the third, the middle, or the back end here?
Legendary Fantasy Pros grade. I'm excited to see what happens, but I'm going to say this. I think I'm probably in 4th or 5th. I'm crushing steals. Actually, I thought I powered nice balance there as well with the power. Batting average, I think I'm pretty sound. Maybe pitching will be the weakest spot, actually. I think I'll actually get crushed in starting pitching.
Okay, so starting pitching is the weakness there. I feel actually pretty good about my starting pitching. Again, everybody knows me. I'm going to wait a little bit longer for saves. That's just how I roll. So one thing you can always find on the waiver wire every single year. Closers
absolutely
change. I'm never going to waste draft capital if I can avoid it. All right,
you can just wait every bit of your fab on going for one closer who gets 10 saves. Absolutely.
That's my plan.
Daniel Bard a couple years ago. Daniel Bard had like 30 saves. He was a big success.
There you go. So Hicks, Will Smith, Josh Bell, Eugenio Suarez, DL Hall. Nice selection there, too.
Ooh.
All Skeens for me at 2407. I don't think it's going to be long, Welsh. I think we're looking at a very, very similar path that we saw Steven Strasburg take a few years ago, where you saw him by June. Yeah. I mean, what do you have to lose? You're the Pirates. Get this kid up there. It's electric. It's fun. Paul Skeens in June. That's what you do. You're not going to compete anyway. You'll shut him down at the end of August and everything will be fine. But you got to show the fan base that you are going to play some of the guys here. Seth Lugo goes next. Welsh, what do you think of Skeens, and would you be drafting and stashing him, or are you just trying to blow all your fab on him whenever he gets called up? Because that's the guy people are going to blow fab on.
Yeah, I am. Well, I mean, I've said this a bunch. Like, that's what I want to do. Like, in these last couple picks, projections, whatever, be damned. I want to take players with the high upside. And if I then can't stomach it, you like cuttable players with the biggest upside. So who are those players? Junior Caminero, Paul Skeens, any of these rookies that are still floating out there. That's absolutely what you do, because I don't want to spend my fab on them. I would rather be invested in being sneaky and trying to be a week early. But who are the guys that are going to have the most fab? The guy that takes over a closer position or the young hot rookie that's coming up? Paul Skeens will go for 80% of probably a ton of people's fab if he is sitting out on the wire and you don't get him early enough.
Yeah. Agreed. You're going to hate my next pick, Welsh, by the way. If you think you didn't like that one, wait till you see the next one. You're going to really hate that one. I can't wait to do it, because I think you're going to be equally proud of me and angry at the same time, which sounds about right for our relationship. All right, so let's continue on here, recapping the picks. We're almost done. We're in the last round here. We want to appreciate everybody hanging out with us. Of course, our producer, John, who's running this show today. Everybody joining us live. Make sure if you haven't already, subscribe to FantasyPros MLB channel. Ring those bell for notifications. We're giving away tons of free stuff. That Trophy Smack belt we're giving away there. We're giving away 1 year free premium upgrades too. Brent Rooker goes after Lugo, then Kepler, then Ezekiel Duran to Govier. Dela Cruz, Ty France. Let's talk about your last 2 picks there, Rafaela and Duran. Govier, how do you feel about these selections?
Well, Welsh was just kind of saying it. Some high upside guys. And Ceddanne Rafaela is a lot of fun. He's got shortstop eligibility and outfield. So I'm going to take a shot here that he can actually stick in the lineup, be a part of this Boston team now. And Ezekiel Duran is just such a useful player to have in multiple formats, because he plays so many positions. He doesn't walk a lot, but he makes a lot of contact, and he always seems to surprise you. Every time you want to count him out, you want to go with Corey Seager, you want to go with all the best talent that Texas has. And we know how much talent Texas has when it comes to hitting, but Duran's always going to be around, and he's going to be in that lineup more often than not. So that's why I took my boy Ezekiel.
Jordan Westberg, Tyler Wells, Sal Frelick. And then speaking about guys who play different positions, he qualifies at shortstop, but he's going to be the starting center fielder opening day for the Padres. Jackson Merrill. Let's go, Welsh. How do you feel about that selection?
I love that pick. I mean, that would have been, arguably taking Jackson Merrill over Kelnick would have probably been a smarter move, because he's going to have, infield eligibility and outfield eligibility.
It's going to hurt my draft grade.
It's going to hurt your draft grade, but I think Jackson Merrill is like the prime player you take on the back end of your draft. Here's the only negative, is if you do wait for your draft to be closer to the season, if Jackson Merrill shows out at all in this Korea series, watch out. Like Jackson Merrill, you get a homer, you get some stolen bases, a couple of hits, then his draft stock is going to rise. But I think it's a fantastic pick.
He's going to be the first guy off waivers this in week 1. Like, I'm already going to be doing that video. Jackson Merrill is going to be the first guy we talk about. Fraley, James Wood, another guy we'll talk about too. Anthony Rizzo, Luis Severino, Tim Anderson, Welsh, last pick of the draft. What do you have for the people?
It looks like I got sniped. Everything kind of froze out for me. So
boy,
I did better than I thought. B+
wow.
here from the Draft Wizard for me. So thank you, Draft Wizard.
Boo.
Govier, is that a C for you? Is that what you're saying?
I got a 76. I passed, but
hey, Chris Welsh, I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised, because you finished better than me. You were number 3. I was number 4. Welsh, way to end the draft season on a high note, my friend. How do you feel?
That's how we do it. We feel good. I did not win, but I did beat both of your mugs, and that's really the only thing that matters at the end of the day, is being the smartest person in the room. But I will tell you, this is the most correct thing we had in this entire draft, was Joe, you and I saying that Durs was going to dominate, because he did with the number 1 grade. Only 3 of us got A grades. It was Mookie Betts' legacy team, myself, and Durs with the number 1 projected. I'm excited to look at these insights, though.
I was sandwiched between both the top 2, by the way, Durs and Mookie Betts' legacy. Just saying.
Yeah. I can also tell you that Joe Pisapia liked my draft more than any other expert.
Is it you again?
Me again? Of course, Scott White didn't like it. Ariel Cohen didn't like it, but Ariel never likes my draft, so that's fine. Welsh, who liked your draft more than anybody else?
Well, my dear friend Jesse Severe from Dynasty Sports Life liked it the most. Ariel Cohen liked it the second most. He loved my judge pick there, Govier. He loved Gaussman, and he loved Kirby. Brandon Myers, Travis Argo, and this is maybe the toughest thing to get to be liked. Mike Mayer liked my draft, which is
Mike
crazy.
Mayer doesn't like anything. That's impossible.
Andy Behrens hated me. Fred Zinke hated me. Want me in the garbage. Dalton Del Don, all of Yahoo, not having it. Scott White and Kev also were in the hate group.
Govier, any expert opinions there that you want to agree or disagree with?
Boy, am I missing something here? Am I supposed to see that somewhere? Am I
You
alone?
are. I
At
will
the
click
end,
over there.
you click on the projected standings button, and then you get the projected standings, and it gives you the experts that liked your draft, who liked it the most,
I've got
expert
them, though.
opinions.
Oh, I see it. I see it.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Okay.
Oh,
So
wow.
are you ready?
Yeah, got it. Yeah, let's hear it if you got it. Let's go.
Oh, I'm locked out. You got him. Go ahead.
All right.
It seems.
So Kev from Roto Baller loved your draft the most. Frank Amarant, Mike Mayer, Dalton Del Don, and I've never had this one. Kelly Kirby loved your draft, Govier.
Wow.
Scott
Yay!
Youngson hated. Jesse Zavir hated. Andy Behrens. Nate Miller, who was in the draft, also hated you. And Pierre Kenyon.
Jesse's
Nate Miller
my
hated
friend.
my draft.
He would
too.
never
Don't
say
feel
that.
too bad. All right, Govier, let's go through your team. You're our guest here on the program. Rutschman, Torkelson, Kim, Bobby Witt, Dela Cruz, Josh Naylor, Morel, Harris, Jorge Soler, Taylor Ward, Parker Meadows, then Bohm, Gilbert, Duvall, Ryan, Clay Holmes, Rodon, Hunter Brown, Savali, Maeda, Hunter Harvey, Donovan, Wallner, Duran, and Rafaela. To me, it feels like you got dinged on the pitching. There's definitely some moments there where you don't have that one true big guy at the top of this rotation. No Castillo or Nola or Corbin Burns. I think that's probably the only thing. The rest of the offense, I think, is a great team.
I think my offense looks very tasty. Steals are locked in with Kim and Ellie alone. But I got other guys who can fill the void too with Morel. He can steal some bags. So steals are good. Power is good. Like I said, I've got Torkelson who's going to repeat what he did and maybe top it this year. So the offense, I'm very satisfied with. My pitching, I think it's okay. I really do. I think that we're going to see good things from Rodon. People don't trust Carlos Rodon, so I understand why he wouldn't be highly valued by the general masses here. But overall, maybe I could have took a starting pitcher sooner, and maybe I shouldn't have taken Duvall like I did early on. But I like this team. I would roll out with this team. I would.
All right. Welsh, Jonah Heim, Goldschmidt, Turner, O'Neill Cruz, Arenado, Chapman, Adams, Judge. Then you've got Carter, Riley Green, McCormick, Otani, Kevin Gossman, Kirby, Dylan Cease, Fairbanks, Tanner Scott, Yu Darvish, Brandon Fott, Leclerc, Bradley, Jared Kelnick, Gavin Lux, Michael Wacha, and Josh Rojas. This is a good team, but I don't think it's better than mine. I disagree. I think I should have been ahead of you this time.
I
gotta
mean,
be honest.
you're wrong, and that's fine.
Yeah,
You can be
gotta be
wrong. You
honest.
can't be right about everything. I will just tell you that it's hard to sometimes put together a perfect team, but I did it here. And you guys should all feel lucky that you're in the presence of this greatness. I was projected top 4 in 7 categories: runs, homers, and RBI, and then saves, K, ERA, and whip. That's how you do it, boys.
I was behind in strikeouts. That's kind of what hurt me. But again, I think this is more of a team that finishes strong when everybody's on the right path. Logan O'Hoppe, Nolan Jones, Ozzie Albies, Gunnar Henderson, Michael Garcia, Hoskins, Volpe, Tucker, Suzuki, Springer, JD Martinez, Varsho, then Glasnow, Clase, Steele, Munoz, Chris Sale, Verlander, Javier, Eduardo Rodriguez, Devin Williams, Caminero, Scherzer, Merrill, Skeens. Welsh, what do you think of this roster, honestly?
It's not as good as mine, but it is a very good roster, Joe. It's a great roster that falls.
I think it's a roster that picks up steam in July 4th and
just short of
everybody else.
But it's good. It's good. It's almost good enough to be mine. But
July 4th and on, I think this roster would go. We want to hear from you, though. Who do you think won the draft between the three of us here? Michael, myself, Welsh. Whose team do you like the most? Drop those comments below. Subscribe to the channel. Leading off live, we're going to wig out on opening day, Thursday, the 28th. Make sure you're joining us 12:30 p.m. Eastern. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. Ring the bell for notifications till it goes ding. I want to thank everybody for joining us today. Don't forget, go run your draft simulations right now. Use Draft Sync. Go sync your leagues for free to FantasyPros tools. Start playing around with the tools. Realize why they're so helpful, not just in the draft, but also to manage your season-long escapades as well. You can set all of your lineups with My Playbook. Download the app. Go to fantasypros.com/myplaybook. That's all you got to use, man. You got 5 different leagues. Set all your lineups in one spot on the app. That alone, get all the news directly for your team. See how many shares of different players you have. It's amazing. The tools are going to blow your mind. They're there to help you draft the best team, manage that team all the way through, make trades, make waiver wire additions. Everything's there for you, Fantasy Pros. Go check it out. Draft Kit is free too at fantasypros.com. I want to thank our guest, Michael Govier, for hanging out with us today. Our producer, John. And I guess I'll thank the Welsh. But shout out to Durs for kicking butt in the draft today. You did it, kid. You did it. Very nice work there. That'll do it for us. But the story of the game goes on. For Michael and the Welsh, I'm Joey P. We'll see you next time, kids. Happy
Ooh.
drafting.
Dig it.